So I've done a lot of things. I haven't done just flying or being a cop. You guys have probably seen me running around, maybe pulling you over if you're old enough to drive yet. No, maybe chasing you down on your bikes or something. But I went to school at BHS over on Bainbridge. And anybody from Bainbridge? No?
I am. I live on Bainbridge.
All right, then you're the cool one in the class. So in high school, I decided that I wanted to fly airplanes and try to decide if I wanted to go the military route or if I wanted to go the civilian route. And civilian way costs a lot of money, but you can get into some pretty neat schools. You get your degree, things like that. Military route, you get the military education, you get free education, but you owe them a little bit of time. But maybe you get to fly something really neat. So I went the non-military route and went over to Moses Lake and did Big Bend Community College and spent 2.5 years there. And class is pretty intense. It's a full load of college classes on top of flying classes, and you come out with your commercial pilot certificate and you come out with your instructor's certificate. So right after you get out of school, you can jump into the industry. And the way flying is set up is you need to build time. Time is everything. So when you first get out of school, you've got a very little amount of time, and that doesn't let you really do much. So you get into things like teaching to build time so that you can move into the bigger airplanes. More time, bigger airplane is basically the way it works. And so I did flight instructing in Michigan, got to fly in all kinds of really bad weather and fly cool little airplanes. And then I got enough time that I was able to go over to the airlines, and I started flying bigger and bigger airplanes out of Cleveland and out of New York, among other places. And so that was pretty awesome. But the commute back to Seattle on a regular basis kind of kicked my butt, so I decided I wanted to try something different. So I became an EMT and came back and worked in Seattle for a private company doing EMS work. And after about a year of that, I said, this is too much. I want to go back to flying if I can. And so I started flying again for Airlift Northwest. You guys ever see the helicopters or have a family member who's been flown out to like Harborview or anything like that?
Yeah, my dad. Twice. So
that's Airlift Northwest. I flew for them for about 6 months, and but I had already put in some applications to be a cop because I wanted to interact with people, and that's how I ended up here. Is 6 months later they called, and I decided to try being a cop. And then the police department, if you're looking at career road on how that works, you get hired in the state of Washington, you get hired, and then they send you to the academy. And at the academy, you usually spend 4 to 6 months there, and you learn everything you need to know to get out on the road. You do another 14 to 16 weeks on the road with an instructor, and then you're cut out on your own. To get into to law enforcement, both of these career paths you can do without a degree. However, you're going to get in quicker if you've got some college. And some college means at least 90 credits. So I figured I'd just blither out really fast what my basic history is, and you guys can ask whatever you want. And if we get bored, I can come up with something else to tell you.
So, what's your name?
My name is Adam Yates.
What do you do?
I'm currently a police officer.
That's cool. Do you do anything else?
I fly. I'm currently a pilot. I do a little bit of corporate flying, but I used to fly for the airlines.
What made you decide to do that?
To go into the airlines?
Yeah.
I wanted to do something that would challenge myself, and who doesn't want to fly an airplane?
How long have you been doing it for?
How long have I been flying? I started flying when I was 20 years old. And so that means 11 years.
Have you ever thought about giving up and not flying anymore?
Yep. and that's why I fly full time, or that's why now I'm a police officer. But I'm not gonna give up flying. I left flying for about a year and decided that I missed it a lot, and so now I do it on the side. I do it in my spare time and have a flexible schedule, so I'm able to do that.
Are you happy with being an officer and a pilot?
It consumes a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun. It keeps me from getting bored doing just one thing.
Do you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life?
I definitely see myself either flying or being a police officer the rest of my life, and probably doing both in one form or another. I definitely don't see myself giving up flying.
Did you have to go to college to do this?
To fly, I had to go to college. Most airlines require you to have about 90 credits to get hired with them. So I went to Big Bend Community College and was there for 2.5 years, and then I transferred to Embry-Riddle University and did an online program with them.
Was it worth all of that to be a pilot now?
Oh yeah, it was definitely worth it. A lot of work though.
Do you have any advice for me or others who want to be a pilot or an officer?
If you want to be a pilot, it just takes a lot of hard work. For me, I was kind of a slacker and didn't study as hard as I should have, and it kind of bit me when I got into school. But you figure it out real quick that studying is huge. Have a good background in math and in science, and you'll do fine.
Well, that's all I have. So thanks for coming out here on your day off and answering these questions.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
I got a question. What's the hardest part of being a police officer?
The hardest part of being a police officer is probably, for me, it's winding down at the end of the day. You know, you're up and alert and getting home and relaxing. You know, you need something like working out or something like that to take you down afterwards.
What's the typical shift? Like how many hours in a day do you work as a police officer?
10 hours a day.
10 hours a day.
Yeah.
What's one of the most difficult parts of being a pilot?
Most difficult part of being a pilot? For me, it was the commute back and forth from Seattle to my home base, which was either Cleveland or Newark. But the actual flying of the airplane, the most challenging and the part I enjoyed the most is landing the aircraft. You've got a lot of different things happening at the same time, and landing is or the approach is my favorite part, but it's also one of the most challenging parts.
Most dangerous part? What is the most dangerous part of flight?
Probably that part.
How about takeoffs?
Takeoffs are pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
You just point straight ahead and throw the power to it, and away you go.
That's cool. Anything you want to add about your careers that you've want to let younger people know about them?
I would say flying, something to think about now with flying is if you're somebody who is scared of heights or somebody who maybe can't pass the medicals. I don't know a lot about the field, but flying the drones is becoming the new thing. And for your guys' generation, it's going to be a big deal. If you like computers and you can't necessarily or you don't necessarily want to fly the actual airplane, drones are going to be a cool thing to do.
All right. Well, we won't take any more of your time.
Perfect.
Appreciate you coming out.
No
Spend
problem.
some time with us.